Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam. Since 2021, we have seen record number of migrants enter the United States through the southern border. Many migrants went to New York City, many went to Chicago, as well as other places in the United States, and they went to all these cities looking for shelter. New York City, as you may already know, is a sanctuary city. So is Chicago. Chicago, Illinois is also a sanctuary city. And the struggle continues. I've talked about it in my podcast before. You may have listened to several episodes in which I talked about the migrant crisis, especially the situation in New York City and in Chicago. The struggle continues as American citizens and legal immigrants demand that the southern border be made secure. Americans demand that this flow of illegal immigrants be stopped. Americans are urging that this flow of illegal immigrants be stopped. We have seen migrants being placed in school dorms, migrants being housed in colleges and other public buildings, and tents were also set up for migrants to stay in. A city like New York City, which is a sanctuary city, struggled and continues to struggle to find housing for migrants. Taxpayers are upset. Taxpayers are upset that their hard-earned dollars are being taken by the government in the form of taxes, and those dollars are being used to provide services to migrants. Over the summer, there were protests in New York City as many residents demanded that migrants not be placed in their neighborhoods. And now, here's the latest update. New York City is reportedly offering migrants plane tickets. The city is offering one-way plane tickets to migrants, plane tickets to anywhere in the world, one-way ticket to a destination of their choice. Now, plane tickets, are they cheap? I don't think plane tickets are cheap. Plane tickets are not cheap. Even the cheapest tickets are not cheap, especially given the inflation. Now, why is New York City doing this? Why did the city decide to offer one-way plane tickets to the migrants? Tickets to anywhere in the world. It could be a different state. It could be anywhere else in the world. I think the city figured out that this promise of sanctuary is a fake promise. Calling New York City a sanctuary city is just a political title, and it means nothing. When people really started showing up for sanctuary in New York City, the city leaders realized that there's no room. The liberal leaders started to blame Governor Abbott of Texas. Why? Because Governor Abbott and his administration has been dealing with this migrant crisis because Texas is a border state. And so the liberal leaders of New York City started to blame Governor Abbott for busing migrants to sanctuary cities. But let me tell you, it's not Governor Abbott's fault. Governor Abbott is not calling Texas a sanctuary state. New York City is calling it a sanctuary city. So is Chicago. Chicago is also a sanctuary city. So if you are a sanctuary city, New York City, then you should take care of the migrants. Don't force Texas to bear the burden of caring for the migrants who are crossing the border and coming to America. Reportedly, the daily per migrant cost has risen to $394, and that's in New York City. In 30 days, let me tell you again, the daily per migrant cost has risen to $394. So in 30 days, if you do the multiplication, that's more than $11,800. More than $11,800 per month per migrant. That's the cost in New York City. And who is paying for this? Who is going to bear this cost? The taxpayers. Now ask yourself, after all the hard work that you do you earn $11,800 per month? Now, why is New York City offering plane tickets? Why this sudden offer? How did they come up with this idea that the city is now going to offer plane tickets, one-way plane tickets to the migrants to go anywhere in the world? Because the cold weather is coming. Winter is coming. It's already the end of October. Winter is coming, and in a place like New York City, it snows heavily during winter. In the winter, there's snow, there's ice. If New York City cannot bring the migrant crisis under control, there will be a massive humanitarian crisis during winter. If the cold weather moves in, and as we get closer to the holiday season and migrants are still living in the streets of New York, there may be severe impacts on their health. These are human beings. If the freezing weather moves in and the migrants, these human beings, they're still on the streets, what's going to happen? How can people live outside in the cold if the temperature is freezing? There is already a homelessness crisis in New York City. There are many homeless people in New York City. And on top of that, there are all these new migrants who came to New York looking for sanctuary, and many of them are spending time on the streets. And so with so many migrants there, and as we are heading towards winter, this situation is getting really, really serious. And that's why I think New York City is so desperate to try to ship the migrants out of the city, out of the state, and that's why they are offering these plane tickets. Now, some migrants reportedly are starting their own business. I just saw a news report that more than 200 migrants have set up a makeshift mini city. And they have started a nighttime market under the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. My friends, I have mentioned this many times in my podcast in previous episodes, that I am a strong supporter of border security. I want our southern border to be secure. I want the flow of illegal immigrants to stop. Our country is a welcoming country. We welcome immigrants as long as they follow the law and they come here through the legal process. But since 2021, we have seen how people have crossed into the United States through our southern border, and the Biden administration should have stopped this flow, but they did not. And so now there's a migrant crisis in America. Now the question is, what's going to happen as winter moves in? Where will all the migrants go? And the question is, why should American taxpayers pay for housing and services for the migrants when American families are struggling because of inflation? Lots of questions. I want you to share with me your thoughts. As winter moves in, where will all these migrants go? People cannot live under the open sky. They cannot be outside when the temperature is freezing. And so what's going to happen as the cold weather moves in? My friends, share with me your thoughts. Go to tosifanam.net. Send me a message. You can also sign up for my e-newsletter. And also, you can connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. You can connect with me and share with me your thoughts. Thank you for continuing to listen to my podcast. And I hope to be back again soon with a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam.